Hello and welcome back to the Pigeon Tarot podcast. As I've been reflecting on some of my recent readings, a common theme has emerged that I feel compelled to explore in this episode. Now, I have had the privilege of doing readings for some incredible individuals who are always approaching relationships with the best intentions. They're willing to give their all to those connections, but they don't always get the appreciation for that effort in return. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. This also applies to friendships, family, work, even interactions with strangers. So, as we kind of navigate these different relationships in our podcast journey, I think it is essential to acknowledge something very crucial, and that is to be able to recognize when you are being taken advantage of. This topic, it kind of builds upon last week's discussion, but today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the need to maintain some healthy boundaries and how you might identify potential exploitation. I started off this topic searching for questions that would relate, but as you might imagine, some of these questions just are very obvious to answer. If you're in a relationship where you are the only one putting in the effort, paying the bills, heck, if you're the only one even keeping a job while your partner does nothing but play video games and sleep all day, if you are taking all the responsibility of adulting on and your significant other makes zero effort, then yes, you are being taken advantage of, and you do not need tarot to tell you that. This time in this episode, I'm not going to assign an overall meaning for the three cards that we're pulling. We'll just have kind of unique keep it unique to the scenarios. Let's go ahead before I get sidetracked and draw a card to help guide us on this episode. All right. The Knight of Wands. So you wouldn't think of the Knight of Wands specifically as a card of manipulation, but the Knight of Wands is somebody who is opportunistic. So that is somebody who may take advantage of a situation, who may exploit circumstances for their own gain. So think about this knight who is not afraid to take some risk, who may use their energy, their actions, or even create drama in order to make a situation go away that's going to benefit them. So we see a knight and we think they automatically have good intentions. They seem more like a protector. But sometimes that shiny armor can distract or hide what may be laying underneath, Think about that. All right, our first question will actually involve three different people in a complex dynamic. We'll call them Shuttershock. I kind of thought that was a fun little joke because it kind of refers to the blurriness of the situation they find themselves in. So anyways, Shuttershock has a best friend who is going through a very difficult time and needs support from their friends. Shuttershock stepped up to try to help that friend, but unfortunately ends up playing more like the therapist to this friend who kind of, is taking advantage emotionally. Now, let me say that you can't really rely on your friends, your family, or your partner, or even your tarot reader to be your therapist. That's kind of overstepping a boundary to put that responsibility on somebody who isn't responsible, that doesn't put themselves in that position. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, Shutter's girlfriend recognizes the kind of hard spot that this has put them in and sees that there does need to be some boundaries, some limitations set here. But the best friend thinks that Shuttershock's friend is the manipulator here. Trying to take control over Shutter and manipulate them in a way that switches the focus to her, and takes the attention away from the best friend. So she would like distance from this friend. And I can see where that kind of her intentions may be a little bit blurred here as well. So let's start by pulling a card. We'll see one that'll represent the energy of each of these people. See where it takes us. 3 cards for each person, yeah. So let's start with Shutter, and then we'll draw one for the best friend, and then we'll draw one for the girlfriend. For Shutter, we have the 8 of Swords, the best friend, the 5 of Pentacles, and the girlfriend will have the 9 of Wands. I think I'm going to pull an extra card for the best friend and the girlfriend, just for a little bit of extra detail here to see what energies we're fighting here. 7 of Cups reversed for the friend. 5 of Swords for the girlfriend. All right. So I'm kind of seeing an interesting story laid out here. We're going to start with Shutter. The 8 of Swords just kind of makes sense, right? They're trapped here. They aren't really clear on who is right or wrong, who to trust. They're kind of stuck in the middle of this conflict. And maybe that's it. They need to think about what is best for them here. What is it that they want? What is most important for them? And then they need to kind of stand up for themselves, right? Instead of just closing off and shutting ourselves away. What is it that we need from this situation? What is it that we need from these 2 important individuals in our life? All right, now the best friend. Are they taking advantage? 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Maybe unintentionally, they do need help. And they turn to the person who they trusted to find support. 5 of Pentacles, no matter which way you pull it, we're in a difficult situation. Now, with this card in reverse, I would say that they are really trying to make the effort to try and get themselves back on their feet. They're not hoping to stay in this position for a long time. We have the 7 of Cups in reverse. And they kind of understand the reality of the place that they find themselves in, and they kind of know what they need to do. I do think here that this friend is not necessarily seeing the situation right now as if, this connection really is an advantage. They don't really want to be here where they have to rely on their friend. They just happen to be in this position. Now the girlfriend, controlling and trying to manipulate Shutter, question mark. With the 9 of Wands, and the 5 of Swords. I think her concerns may stem from her own maybe past relationships where maybe she was in a similar situation to Shutter. There's may also be a level where she just doesn't want the friend involved anymore, She wants her relationship back. That's kind of understandable, I think, from anyone. Now that 9 of Wands understands the risk and really what is necessary and feels the need to sometimes, set boundaries. And I think she sees that, it's going to be important for Shutter to set some boundaries so that they aren't taken advantage of. I think her concerns here are genuine. Now the 5 of Swords is a little bit about her wanting to be in control, wanting to be the person who is right. If she wants the friend out, she's going to make sure that that happens, She's not going to stop until the situation is back to the place that she wants it. I mean, you can't, it's a relationship, and it's kind of hard to be in a relationship when you have a third wheel. It's kind of understandable in this situation. I don't think her intentions are necessarily like ill will, but I do think she's kind of tired of this position. The 9 of Wands comes more from a place of concern about Shutter. The 5 of Swords about her wanting to be in control. Now, again, it is up to Shudder to decide what is the most important thing here. They're going to have to step up in this situation, and they're going to have to tell these two what it is that they want. Whether, anyone who's to blame, that's not important. It's what does Shudder want? And they need to be able to say that. So as we can see, maybe our heart is in the right place. But when you have multiple parties involved, you do need to realize that you're not going to be able to satisfy every single person. And if you try to do so, you're going to be just stuck in a bad position. So think about yourself sometime. The next question we have is a friends with benefit type situation. We already complained about this in our last episode. Don't put yourself in that situation to begin with. Not if you're really hoping to get a real connection out of this. So, I think when we think of someone being taken advantage of, or taking advantage of another person, this is like a big giant neon sign, at least to me. Hello, pay attention. But this one is maybe a little bit different. The person we have here is Jigsaw. Jigsaw says they are the one who kind of instigate this friends with benefits situation. They encourage it. There is a slight age difference between the two individuals here. And so automatically Jigsaw's friends think that this older person is maybe taking advantage and just using her. And when Jigsaw sees it, this is just a gentleman who's been nothing but kind. And she just doesn't believe that that's true. But, she realizes that maybe she's a little bit naive, even if she hopes she's not. Now, these are two responsible adults who know what they're doing. Okay? So, let's not judge that too much. Let's take a good look at what the cards have to say about this situation. We'll do, very simply, a card for each person. Jigsaw, this friend with benefits. And a card for the connection. The Two of Swords. The Hierophant. The Moon. Oh my gosh, the Moon. We're getting some tough cards here. Okay, the Moon. Let's pull a clarifier for that. Well, I guess that's probably the toughest card. I don't know. Six of Coins in reverse. Interesting. Okay. So, Two of Swords for Jigsaw. That makes sense. Again, we're stuck between two opposing perspectives in this relationship. Them versus the outside, those outside of this connection. Now, for the friends with benefit, the Hierophant, that's kind of a tough one, because to me, that may actually be somebody who wants a more traditional connection. So he may look at this as more of a relationship than a situationship. I don't know. We'll have to dive into that a little bit more. The Hierophant tends to be, someone who's very traditional. I often see this come up when somebody wants like a committed relationship. Now, between them is the Moon. And that's kind of those blurred lines again. We don't quite see the reality, or we don't have clearly defined understanding of this connection. So to me, it would seem like a bigger conversation needs to happen between these two individuals. I wouldn't rely on the cards to figure out the ambiguity of the situation, really. Now, the Six of Pentacles as the clarifier, Six of Pentacles in reverse. Ooh, that could lead us to this being a sort of manipulation. So now I'm kind of seeing this friends with benefit differently with this card involved. This is someone who uses situation to their advantage. Now this, as the third card, as this connection, could mean that either individual is using this situation as a benefit, and that's basically what this situation is. So it's kind of like a, hello, what do you expect? Right? Now, we do have some concern that the other friend with benefit, that they are acting in a Hierophant type manner. But, Jigsaw feels like they are in control of the situation, I feel like maybe the friends with benefit actually has more control. And maybe the control that Jigsaw feels is just kind of what the friends with benefit is letting them feel, if you know what I mean. So it seems like maybe they're more familiar with being in this type of situation. They kind of know what they're doing. That may have come with age, you know. If I were Jigsaw, I might think really carefully about if I would want to continue this connection. And maybe we should start listening to some of the people who are viewing the situation from the outside. They may be seeing some red flags that Jigsaw is not quite seeing. Again, when we don't put a lot of weight on this connection, we may be letting things slide that we don't think are important, but maybe there is some importance to it, right? So I think that's kind of where it all comes about. Well, there are some situations, you know, where the signs of being taken advantage of, where the signs just seem so obvious. You know, sometimes we don't see how we're being moved around. You know, we're kind of the pawn on the chessboard, so to speak. Especially in a situation where we aren't putting a lot of emotional weight into it, so like we don't think it matters, but you may find yourself in a place where you don't want to be there anymore, and now you don't know how to get out of it. You know, put yourself in too deep. Gotta be careful. You know, there is significance to the connections that we make in our life. There is. It's not meaningless. Even if it feels meaningless, it affects us inside. Whew. Now, the final question, it's kind of a different way to look at being taken advantage of. This is more of a work-related question. Our person's sliced bread is in a curious position. You know, they're really looking forward towards this promotion. How does that seem bad, right? A promotion, heck yeah. However, they do feel like their boss is intentionally lowballing them because their boss knows no matter what, sliced bread is going to accept this promotion. So on the one hand, they don't think that anyone would intentionally screw them over in the workplace, but also they just want to make sure that they're not just accepting less than kind of what they deserve. So their question centers around how they can make sure, or how they can go about maybe negotiating a fair contract here, making sure that they aren't being taken advantage of. Now, if you may wonder why we sort of switch focus on away from the personal relationships, I do think there is something very important that connects to this, which is about kind of knowing what you're worth. You know, if you don't value yourself, no one else is going to value you. Now, for our 3 cards in this situation, I want one card to be focused on the boss man here. No, I want all 3 cards to be focused on the boss man here. The first card will have the overall energy of the situation. Is our sliced bread being manipulated into taking less than they deserve? Next card will focus on how sliced bread should maybe approach this situation for the outcome that will work for both parties. I think that's what we got. Okay, so energy, maybe the energy of the boss. How sliced bread should approach the situation for an outcome that works for both parties. There we go. I think I figured that out. Okay. Sometimes it's difficult to come up with those on the fly. All right. Oh gosh. Judgment. That card holds a lot of weight. King of Wands in reverse. And the 7 of Swords. Let me say, look right there. The 7 of Swords recognizes that we are playing a game. And we need to know how to play it. Okay? Think about that. So we got Judgment. I think we see the obvious, you know. Sliced bread should kind of trust what they see. They're aware of the situation that they're in. They're aware of both what the employer has to gain, what they may lose. So when sliced bread feels like they are being lowballed, that is probably the actuality of the situation. But let's kind of think again: the judgment, awareness of your own ability, awareness of what you deserve, awareness of your worth. And if we have boss man sitting here in that judgment position, they kind of see all. They kind of know. We may have to trust their opinion here. Let's look at these other two cards. So, sliced bread may need to ask themselves, what are they worth to this company before they feel like they can negotiate appropriately? A King of Wands in reverse makes me think, honestly, that sliced bread may not be in the best position to negotiate the terms of the promotion. As much as they may deserve the promotion, I feel like they aren't yet ready to step up and be the king, be the leader that the boss man's looking for. So I would take the steps to start showing that we can kind of step up and become that leader, that we kind of have a vision for our own success, that we can handle the challenges. And then we have the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords is going to be the card of what we're showing off, you know? Show them the parts that they need to see, even if we're kind of like faking it. Fake it till you make it, right? This isn't advice, really, because I see this as someone who isn't quite ready or quite at the level that they need to be. Maybe they aren't quite deserving to get more than what they're being offered. Their boss is giving them this opportunity to grow with this promotion. And I don't think that sliced bread really has that much room for negotiation here. Just based on the cards, okay? Sometimes we just have to accept the situation as it is. If sliced bread wants more, they need to do more. They need to really show it, right? So that's, again, just what I see in the cards. It's really up to sliced bread to know what they're worth in this, right? And I think that, don't wait for tarot cards to give you permission to kind of stand up for yourself. I need y'all to know that. Don't rely on anyone else to tell you when it's okay to step up and assert your value. Most importantly, don't just be a bystander in your own life. Don't let other people make the moves for you. We need you to be confident, be direct, and be you. Okay? I think that is it for this episode. I know we sort of went over many different little things here, but I hope you get the message that you need to hear. And don't forget to check out our other socials for more tarot content. I hope you'll keep listening with me. Thank you.